Hey, Randy Joe here, and today we are going to be kicking off a new series, a new discography on the channel that we're going to dive into, just as we covered the entirety of Kate Bush's discography last year. We are going to be jumping into the entire Pink Floyd discography and reacting to every single Pink Floyd album from the beginning. So, of course, with that being said, today we are going to be listening to The Piper at the Gates of Dawn by Pink Floyd. Released in 1967, this, of course, is the beginning of the incredibly influential and just mammoth of a band, Pink Floyd. And with that, it's also the first album of two albums, of course, their sophomore album after this as well, containing the lead vocalist and lead songwriter on the albums, Syd Barrett, who unfortunately seemed to have quite a bit of kind of mental anguish after their second LP, and kind of broke off, went on a solo route before, of course, kind of becoming a total recluse. Which, despite having never listened to the album Wish You Were Here, I do know that Pink Floyd kind of chronicles, or at least tributes, Syd Barrett throughout that LP. And quickly, one thing too, before we start listening to this album, I just want to say that I have listened only to two Pink Floyd albums in full. Of course, we did Dark Side of the Moon, I listened to on the channel back during Rocktober last year, and The Wall I listened to many years ago, did a review for on the channel as well, which I will link down below, but it is not nearly as fresh in my mind as something like Dark Side of the Moon is. However, I do love both LPs quite a bit, and when I get to The Wall, when doing this reaction series, I might just do a kind of like, I guess, re-listening of it along with you guys. However, that one, of course, will not be a first reaction. But every other album will be just as Dark Side of the Moon was, released in Rocktober. If you're interested in that video, it is also going to be linked down below. But anyway, no more dilly-dallying. Let's get into things here. Let's get into the debut project. I'm not sure what to expect. I've never listened to any of their early stuff, so I don't really know what Syd even kind of brings to the table. I just know that to many, he was a visionary, and I know some people, I think a small select group of people, prefer Syd Barrett as a songwriter as opposed to Roger Waters and David Gilmour. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it with Astronomy Domine. Hopefully not pushing that. I like these very spacey effects to kick it off. Remind me of a space station. Certainly reminiscent of the late 60s. We got a bit of Morse code, it would seem. Of course, with the title, Astronomy, you know, we're really throwing ourselves into space here, and you could feel it musically. Very space rock, I believe it's called. This one really has you holding on right off the bat. I feel like we're on a kind of sci-fi journey. Certainly conquers that vision of space. Quite a kind of odyssey this instrumental's been. As we venture out into the abyss. Love that distant harmony. I really like that one. That one was very hypnotic in focus, really venturing out into outer space and themes of space, especially throughout the lyrics, references to various planets, celestial objects, moons, you name it. Seems like it's all kind of stretched out. Has a nice sci-fi, fantasy kind of flair to the sound as well. Just a great track to kick it all off. I know Pink Floyd, I think especially their early stuff like this, sometimes gets labeled as what they call space rock, and I think that is a good taste of it because I am not too familiar with that subgenre, at least in depth. But I like what I'm hearing there. Let's go into Lucifer Sam. A little bit of a psychedelic, trippy sort of lyricism.
Lucifer Sam, cyan cat, always sitting by your side, always by your side.
Oh.
That cat's something I can't do.
Speaking of impeccable timing from our little friend over here, Nibbler, of course his name is. Very fitting, by the way. Lucifer Sam, Siam cat. I don't know if he's not a Siamese cat, this guy here, but just thought that was funny. Talk about syncing up. I don't know why the instrumental reminds me of like a spy theme, a little bit of espionage in it. It's got a mystery to it.
Oh no, that cat's something I can't explain.
Is this literally about a maybe demon possessed cat? Even I want to say slight kind of surf rock kind of influence on the instrumental here, but a sense of mystique around it. A lot of kind of 60s sounds you can see at play here.
I can't explain.
I like that one. There's something about that classic kind of 60s rock, kind of psychedelic focus that has so much charm to it. It's very kind of distinct in sound, a little dated to some, but I personally really enjoy just the kind of vintage vibe that it brings here. But that one, about some sort of mysterious, ominous cat. Nothing too grand to say here, but I do kind of like the kind of different sounds and influences we're getting, such as surf rock, space rock, psychedelic rock, and that one as well having a little bit of a espionage kind of vibe to it. Let's go to Matilda Mother. Again, theme-wise, very fantasy-induced. Very whimsical kind of air to this album so far. Oh, a little bit of a shift instrumentally. And an organ? What is this, the Doors? Not too much to say about that one. A nice, like I said, whimsical, fairy tale-esque kind of delivery on that one. Full of the classic 60s sort of pistache, as they say. I like that one. But again, you know, obviously the grand vision of, you know, these two records back here is not nearly as, you know, obvious or apparent on some of these earlier things, such as Piper at the Gates of Dawn here, feeling a little bit more, like I said, vintage, a little bit more primitive in terms of their sound. But again, you do see the kind of seeds kind of being implemented here, the somewhat more kind of instrumental and hypnotic sort of focus that they would kind of further implement into their music, especially when they kind of veer out into you know, longer territory, which Interstellar Overdrive does seem to be the track's kind of opus. Let's go into Flaming, though, which is a short one at only 2 minutes and 46 seconds. So far we've had Outer Space, we've had Possessed Cats, perhaps, we've had Knights and Witches,
Lying on an eiderdown. Yippee, you can't see me, but I can you.
also I wonder how much influence this played into the work of Bowie's first couple of LPs, especially. Does feel very similar to Space Oddity, as well as his first self-titled LP, although of course that one is a little bit more, you know, even outdated on arrival.
Blazing in the foggy dew. Sleeping on a dandelion. Too much, I won't touch you.
Very
Then I'm
whimsical sort of lyricism. Sid Barrett.
streaming through the starlit sky.
Very LSD kind of written lyrics, it would seem.
By telephone. Hey ho, here we go. Ever so high.
I'm sure he was. Not too much to say about that one. Whimsical, silly, high, short. Let's go to Pow R, Toc H. This one instrumental only, perhaps. Oh. I like our pianist here. Who's this? Richard Wright, our pianist here. Got like nothing on the left side here. Oh. That classic 60s production, right? Split on both sides. Very mono. Lots of howls and yelps throughout this thing. This one is a real trip. I believe that's Richard Wright still. Kind of like beatboxing. long before beatboxing would be, you know, further sort of developed. Whew. A weird track. Quite a bizarre, sparse, almost ambient type track that gives into a little bit of feedback, I think, at the end there too. Feels like a bunch of ideas thrown at a wall. Some of it lands, some of it I just kind of feel like meanders. But at the end of the day, you know, for a debut project so far, this has been pretty solid. I won't hold it against them, seeing as, again, certainly has that kind of underdeveloped debut 60s album kind of, you know, trademark. Here's Take Up Thy Stethoscope and Walk, which, by the way, what a cool title that one is. Doctor, doctor, I'm in bed. What? Sid Barrett. The words you choose, the words you write, are certainly like a weird man's nursery rhymes. A man doped up writing a nursery rhyme, perhaps. Childlike, kind of in focus. Getting a little noisy. Kind of reminded me of Velvet Underground in a way too, with how kind of explosive the sound is. Especially this rapid guitar on the left side. I like this bass line. Love this bass line. Really gives you something to hold on to through all this insanity. Oh. And it gets funky with it. Oh. Center focus, and we are flipping. Really like the way it's united here. Ain't that the truth? Maybe one of my favorite tracks so far. I really liked the grooves in that one. I really liked the bass line as well. Super funky. Really had something to grasp through all that kind of insanity. Very similar to, you know, the same year that Velvet Underground released their debut project, Velvet Underground and Nico. Getting a lot of kind of similar kind of vibes to that record, just in terms of their kind of explosive energy. You know, both ahead of the time, Pink Floyd and Velvet Underground, of course. Next track here is going to be the 9-minute, nearly 10-minute Interstellar Overdrive. It seems like this is the kind of mammoth of the record. So let's get into it. I'm expecting this one to go further into the realms of outer space, especially with the word interstellar being thrown into the mix. Let's hear it. and it is a instrumental only. Oh my goodness, we are in for a doozy. This is gonna be their European Sun, perhaps. Bit of a heaviness to it. Where have I heard that before? Death Grips sampled that opening on... Fuck, what's the name of that song? It's sampled on Ex-Military. Need It. I want to call the song. I don't think that's right. I'll put the title there. But Death Grips, incredible, sample-heavy group. Sampled that intro for sure. Responsibility's cool, but there's more things in life, as MC Ride said on that track. Oh. This one is just so abstract and hypnotic so far. Where are we going with this? This is like a horror show now. We're halfway through. It feels like madness. Like just a unfiltered, spacey, kind of like abstract jam session. Even these moments of understanding are fleeting. I don't know if it's intentional. This audio quality kind of almost felt degraded there and kind of clipping out. I don't know why. It kind of reminds me of not just Velvet Underground, but even to an extent Miles Davis's kind of explorations on Bitches Brew. I think more so in just the kind of abstract focus that again feels very, I don't want to say ethereal, because it's certainly more in a outer space realm, but a similar vibe to Bitches Brew, where we are kind of venturing to the edges of space for sure. There's a slight jazziness, I would say, a jazz rock kind of flair to this album too. Kind of getting menacing here. Ooh. That cycling final minute here. Spinning out of control. Our spaceship crash landing. What? What a journey. What a journey that was. What a massive, spacey, improvisational, jammy, out there jazz rock session that was. Like, just every direction, really stretching it to the furthest edge that it could. That was crazy. I do feel like instrumentally that's the peak of the album. Obviously not as concise as some of these other tracks at nearly 10 minutes, but man, certainly a good jam. Here's The Gnome. David Bowie fans getting flashbacks here with that title. Let's get into it. 2 minutes, 13 seconds. A short one. At least bringing it back down. This is so David Bowie coded. What was with gnomes in the late 60s? I have no idea. But British, songwriters really, for some reason, loved them. Back to those storybook vibes we got throughout the album. Ooh. Like, really hard to take this seriously with lyrics like this. All right. We're still going. That marks the second weirdly, overtly British gnome-related track I can think of from the late 60s. Don't know what it was. There was something in the air at the time. Oh, there definitely was. You could smell it through the album, what's in the air here. Let's go into chapter 24. Let's just hear that. I gotta say, The Gnome, a very weird track. Not my favorite, that's for sure. Really nothing to say about this one. It's oh. Maybe I spoke too soon. I like the way this is going. Some sort of synth. Oh. Don't like that screeching though. Yeah, really nothing to say to this one. It's kind of feels like more of the same, but not nearly as developed as some of these earlier tracks. It's kind of just a little bit more of a meandering, slow, kind of droney cut. Very whimsical album, and it seems like the whimsical themes They're not letting up because we are going into the Scarecrow. Perhaps this one's about a scarecrow. And the same way that the gnome was about a gnome. Who would have thought? And even these lyrics, so fairy tale-esque. Also, instrumentally, I feel like we are back in the medieval times. Like a horse trotting. Black and green scarecrow, quite distinct. I, for some reason, do like this one. I think it's that kind of medieval-esque instrumental to pair with it.
The black and green scarecrow was sadder than me, but now he's resigned to his fate, 'cause life's not unkind, he doesn't mind.
He's content. This is like Sisyphus. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. One must imagine the Scarecrow happy. It would seem he is. He's content. He's accepted his position. And isn't that what life's all about? Perhaps a deeper meaning to the whimsicalness of this track. I like that one too. It's just a nice brief kind of fleeting moment. I like it. Let's go into Bike to close it out. 9 million streams. Seems like this one's a bit more. He's right to the point. No. This weird double vocals, I believe it's Richard Wright and Syd Barrett singing. It seems like they share duties throughout. Very interesting combo they are. It's like they're clashing in a way slightly. Throwing all the whimsy at the wall for this track. We've got gingerbread men, we've got mice, we've got them all. Hold on. Are we going in the other room with them? Oh, they're taking us with them. I do like the weird clashing of this track. Everything feels like it's kind of falling apart. This is what Syd Barrett hears in his mind on a loop. It's no wonder he went crazy. Respectfully. Okay. What a weird closer. What a strange second half of that track. We went into their clockwork musical room where it was clashing, ticking, banging, and then some weird laughter to close it all out. This album is, above all else, I would say, increasingly bizarre. It starts off fairly normal, spacey, a little out there, but as you go, you get to the point of so many storybook kind of whimsical, magical fantasy land imagery, especially that second half, where I just feel like you're slowly falling down a weird rabbit hole. We feel like Alice in Wonderland throughout this album, I would say, because as you get to that final track, it is as weird as it gets. We're throwing gnomes at you too. We're throwing Scarecrow. We're throwing mice. We're throwing gingerbread men, and then we end it in a clock room of clanging and banging and ticking and laughter to close out the whole thing, like madness. What does it even say? This album is not at all what I was expecting. At first, I thought it was a fairly standard, although still impressive, kind of 60s psychedelic rock record. That's what I expected from this. But as you got deeper into it, I would say this thing kind of morphs into its own kind of entity. It's very unique. It kind of throws a lot at you. There's a certain magic to the whole thing. And overall, I would say that I thoroughly enjoyed this record. A lot more than I even expected to, because knowing that this is their first record, I did go into it with, I would say, lower expectations. I wanted to give them, a chance to impress, and they certainly did, because this thing is certainly one I'm going to at least remember for its very kind of eccentric personality that comes with it. Piper at the Gates of Dawn, a great way to kick off their discography, I would say. Obviously not as well known, as critically acclaimed as some of the work that they, of course, will be known for going forward. But pure elements of genius throughout. And Syd Barrett's sort of songwriting and instrumentally, I would imagine he played a big role in the instrumental kind of passages throughout. His vision is very unique. It's like if you took, the classic fairy tales that you heard as a child, and you turned them up to 11 with the kind of drug use and insanity, feeling very psychedelic and spacey. So Piper at the Gates of Dawn, just a great starter. And a great way to kick off this discography for the channel. We're going to, of course, continue the next album of theirs that we will be checking out. Their second album, which I believe is called A Saucerful of Secrets. So that'll be the next Pink Floyd video we will be checking out. As well, on the channel, we are also listening to Bjork's entire discography. That should be kicking off very soon. I want to kind of go back and forth between Floyd and Bjork. So if you're interested in Bjork reactions, go ahead and subscribe for that as well. And of course, new albums that we are doing on the channel. We will be checking out anything new that is being released. I want to listen to as many new albums as I can this year without kind of overdoing it, I guess. But we'll see what we can do. I want to do as much as we can. I want to just have a good time here. So as always, my name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.